Hello everybody, I'm Face, and in today's video, it's just basically all balance changes. As you know, with every story update, there are a handful of balance changes that come to the game that I used to complain about them never announcing, and then they eventually added an update log for that. But, you know, that's not the point. Coming with Sepharite, there are a lot of changes planned. Easily the most we've had in one update. But that's fair given that it's been a hot minute since, you know, the last update. But bear in mind, these changes are not confirmed to happen. These are just planned. I'm only talking about them because Jamie said that these were what were planned, so these are the ones that are confirmed, but not really because, you know, they may just not get in the game. Also, Jamie also said that these may not be in Sepharite immediately. It may come in an update shortly after it. So, yeah. But the point is, I'm just going to be going over them with you and giving my thoughts on how they could affect the potential meta in Sepharite. So, yeah, let's just get into it. I've got a box of stuff that's affected by it. As you can see, there's a lot. Anyway, here's the list. I got the wrong thing. I am bad. There we go. Alright. As you can see up at the top right corner, we're starting with Staunch. Staunch is being up... currently, Himber stats can't be lowered if it has Staunch. Yep. Like, Terrifying won't lower it, Eerie Stare won't lower its stats. Ancient Roar won't lower its stats, but at the moment, a move like Ancient Roar, it won't lower your stats, but it'll still switch Zulong out. After this update, it'll not be like that. Staunch will completely block Ancient Roar from working, and it'll just fail. So moves, like support moves that are only to lower, that lower your stats and also have an added effect, that added effect is blocked if they can't lower your stats. So, this is important, honestly, because I'm going to be going out of order, but let's go down to the moves real quick. As you can see right here, Ancient Roar is being buffed. I know that I'm sorry about how slow-paced this video is. I'm sorry, but you know, there's no script, so I'm just kind of going at it. But Ancient Roar, what's the? Oh wow, nice. Anyway, Ancient Roar is going down from 70 energy to 50 energy, and on top of that, Energy Orb is being buffed so that the energy reduction is being buffed from 10% to 25%. What this all means is that a new kind of Zulong can come out, or come out next meta. The utility noodles, is that how I like to call it. Utility noodle is a Zulong, I would say, that utilizes its support moves, utility moves, whatever you want to call them. Moves like Tase and Ancient Roar. Because Ancient Roar is getting buffed to 50 energy, and then the Energy Orb is getting buffed to 25%. Zulong will be able to fire off 38 energy Ancient Roars that let it be a fast pivot. And then pair it with Tase, and it's, something that can paralyze pretty much anything because it's faster than pretty much everything. So yeah, that's why I could see Staunch becoming big. Because, as you know, Wimpor is going to be coming out, and it's quad weak to electric, and Zulong's electric, so, having this Staunch Himber will completely block it in all of its effect. So, yeah, Staunch is a pretty big buff. Anyway, now we're going on to Vengeance. Right now, the effect of the ability is not going to change, really. It's just it's just fixing the ability so that it also works in single battles. So it functions like the Pokemon move Retaliate. So after an ally faints, the next turn Revenine has double power on every move, so 180 power Fire Breath, 160 power Mega Chomp, 150 power Ghostly Howl, 80 power Shadow Sprint, whatever you want to do for that turn. People are definitely overrating this. Yes, it'll be threatening, for sure, especially since we're getting more metals that could potentially threaten Obsidragon into Clips. Two things that could kind of wall... Oh, I mean, Eclipse doesn't wall Fire Breath, but it stops Ghostly Howl and Mega Chomp entirely. But Obsidragon will also wall both of its stabs, so... while this buff is good, it's not really going to make Revenine anything top tier. It's definitely gonna be better. I'll give you that. It's gonna be the best revenge killer in the game. But that kind of role isn't exactly good because it all hinges on your ability functioning, and for your ability to function, an ally has to faint. You have to lose a member for this ability to work. So it's not going to be anything top tier, but it's definitely good for Revenine. Because, you know, buff. It working is better than it not. So, yeah, next up we got Parting Gift being buffed. Right now, it's a random amount of damage after you faint, ranging from 1/16 up to 50% of their health. Like 1/16, 1/8, 1/4, 1/2. The buff is just cutting out the 1/16. It's just going to be 1/8 and up, so at least 12.5% of their health. It's not going to increase how often the 50% bomb hits. It's just removing the 1/16 bombs, and those will probably just change it to the 1/8 bombs. So there you go. It's going to be slightly more consistent. It's still going to be bad ability, but whatever. Anyway, up next is Tone Deaf. Right now, originally when Mewtwo was released, Typeless had, one resistant metal. Now it has multiple resistances. It recently got its range attack back, and now it's getting its Tone Deaf back. Range attack and Tone Deaf were both nerfed because it just had no switch-ins back then. And with more metal types coming, and us having more resist with ice and spirit types, it's, pretty okay to have Tone Deaf coming back to its original power. Mewtwo is going back to its original power. It's just it has more resists now, so it's not going to be able to two-hit KO literally everything. So, yeah, it's good for Mewtwo, definitely, because, there's a no drawback buff, but Mewtwo in general is probably not going to improve because we're going to have way more switch-ins. Anyway, up next, probably the biggest, or one of the bigger buffs. Awakening is going back to its original power. This means, like right now, Tatab, it's currently walled by Swolder, who's not even fully invested physically. And, well, this Awakening buff is actually going to force Swolder to have to go fully physically defensive if it wants to wall Tatab. So that's a buff in itself because Swolder loses out on range bulk and stuff. But yeah, that's, that buffs both Vesperot, or Tatab and Himber if you're using an Awakening Himber. Valkyrie too. Valkyrie benefits from that. So yeah, it's a good buff. Now up next we got Brute Force. Basically all the abilities that were nerfed incoming with totems are getting buffed back to their original power. They were afraid that, combined with totems, they do too much damage. Well, it was a needless worry because, well, all the defenses also got a 10% buff. The things that would wall you would also wall you better. So I don't know why they lowered the offense. So it's whatever. So it's going back. Zulong's going to be able to break a little better. And it's definitely going to be a popular pick because more metal types, but we don't know exactly the specifics of that. We just know that there's Chompactor and Wimpor coming. They both have evolution lines, both weak to electric. Zulong's electric and everybody's favorite starter. Not mine though. But yeah, so it's a good buff for Zulong because it's coming. It's going to come back, and Trumbull also benefits because, well, it just does more damage. So there you go. Then we have the Overshadow and Illuminate buffs. It basically just reverts to the old power, 20% instead of 10%. But they also get to bypass Total Eclipse. I asked Jamie, and he said all of the moves, not just typeless converting into dark moves, but just your pure dark moves and light moves will bypass Total Eclipse. So you can Gloom Fangs to Clips, and that'll lock it out of Luminous Roar. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know the specifics if it counts as a typeless move before checking Gloom Fang lock or whatever. But yeah, it can hit to Clips, but nobody cares about Gloom Fangs. You're gonna smack it with Raging Tackle. So this buff definitely benefits Umbrat more than Luxor, because while being able to hit to Clips is nice, you're still walled by Feevine. The Luxor's still gonna suck. Until this thing gets coverage, it is trash. Last of the abilities of being changed is Ability Thief. Right now, it just copies the ability of what it makes contact with, and the effect wears off once you switch out. It's being changed so that instead of copying it, you actually steal it and replace it with a blank ability on what you hit, and the effect is permanent for the entire battle. It'll have its ability. So let's say you body slam it to Eclipse, you have Total Eclipse for the rest of the battle, and they don't. What makes this really interesting is that it has Chase Down. So if they're trying to swap out like their Luminami to get their Power Napper, you actually can chase down them. That'll hit them, take their Power Napper, and then they switch out. So they won't even get the healing from that switch out because you already yoinked the ability. So Ragoon is definitely gonna be better. I still think it's a gimmick at best, but at least it's a viable gimmick. You can totally screw over one of their Loomians. It's going to change team building in that you want to have something that you're willing to sack your ability to answer Ragoon. So yeah, it's a buff in the fact that it pressures team building. It's not going to really put Ragoon's combat ability up in the top tiers. It's just it pressures team building. So this is a good buff. This is good. It'll be annoying for sure to fight, but it's a good buff for Ragoon. Up next, okay, so we're done with the abilities. Those were all the abilities, and now we're talking about actual Loomian changes. There's only 2. And one of them's not really changing. It's just, something they're getting that we know of. Anyway, Volcaloa here. I didn't train it. I didn't care to train it very well. And it's not like I need to worry about resets because, resets are going to be customizable next update. Hey. But, you see these crappy defense stats. I mean, you could already see it up here. Or, way up here. But, yeah, these are crappy defense stats. They're taking away the range attack. Another case of min-maxing. And they're buffing its defense stats a little bit. It's still going to be super frail. It's not going to be the frailest thing in the game anymore. And I did a few calcs just a little bit ago, and some of the calcs kind of matter. Right now, as it stands, you risk with this spread right here, you risk getting one-hit KO'd by a Vesperatu Slapdown. You can't OHKO Vesperatu because you're just not strong enough. And Slapdown can potentially OHKO you. It's a 50% chance to OHKO you from full. With the buff to your melee defense, that's no longer an issue. You're not going to get OHKO'd. And you have Rejuvenate, so you can actually viably run Rejuvenate on this thing because not everything's going to 2-hit KO you or 1-hit KO you. Another thing, Ursul Quick Punch doesn't. It has a small chance right now, but it's still a chance to 2-hit KO you, but it's small, like I said. But with the buff, that it can't 2-hit KO you with Quick Punch. So that means if you're at half health, you're still not at risk of dying to Quick Punch. So basically, this just makes Volcaloa harder to revenge kill because it is pretty fast, and harder to OHKO. So that's fun. I did one thing with ranged bulk. Ikizune, if you invest this in range defense instead of HP, Flash and Flee goes from always 2-hit KOing you, always doing over half, to sometimes almost never doing over half, I think. I'll double check. sometimes doing over half. So, yeah. The range defense, it's still good. Its bulk is still garbage. It's just not everything in the universe will be able to knock this thing out with minimal effort. Also, Borak Quick Pounce normally does a third of its health. Right now, after the change, it'll do a little over. It'll do above. It'll be what, 26 to 30%. So not even a quarter, not even a third, just a little over a quarter. So yeah, you're just harder to revenge kill, and that's just good for Vocaloa. So it's not game breaking or anything, but you know, Vocaloa is slightly harder to kill. Gabademic, in the rally, it's not really like a balance change, it's just something it's getting with this update. It's getting Trip Root. If you don't know what that is, that's a plant move. If you've heard of Grass Dot from Pokemon, it's exactly that. Basically, the only set that cares about this is, you know, a Baneful set. You could pair it with Terrafly's Poison Barbs, or you can Poison Spam stuff. You'll be able to run Muck Blast and Trip Root. This makes Borak and Himber unable to switch in. Both get 2-hit KO'd by a Power Cuff's Trip Root if they're poisoned. So, and I'm talking like very clever Himber. So there you go. Yep. That's a pretty good buff for Gabademic. Swolder's still gonna wall the heck out of you. JB did say he gave us the option, well, by us I mean a Discord, the Pro Cord. He let them vote on which one it got, Airblade or Trip Root. Majority voted Trip Root, so that's what it's getting. It'll get Airblade later, but just not with Sepharite. So once it gets Airblade, Swolder is harder to switch into it. So, yep, there we go. It's not really gonna change Gabademic much. It's still gonna be mad average, but it'll be more fun because you have actual coverage. So there you go. All right, moving on. We got a lot of move changes as you see here. So let's start with Pester. Goes from 50 energy to 32 energy. A lot of these are just energy cost changes, as you could see, but Pester, it's going down to 32 because we also have a Rant. It does the same thing, but costs 32 energy. So Pester's just, you know, being made consistent. Ancient Roar, we already talked about. Storm Summons going from 75 to 46. The reason it costed so much at the beginning was because 50% paralysis is a lot. However, they've decided that they are, you know, going forward, the competitive balance will be leaning towards level 50. And, well, costing 75 energy at level 50 is a lot. So it's going to be 46 energy. This is pretty big for doubles. You know, Zulong being able to spam Storm Summon is always a plus, especially with the Energy Orb buff. Utility Zulong, like I said. But yeah, Storm Summon's cheaper. Spectral Burst also getting cheaper. It's because there's a bunch of, you know, 80 power moves that are 40, and Spectral Burst was just randomly 45. So, there you go. Geyser going from 50 to 40. That's actually pretty good for Ventation because... what's the training on this? I don't know what this training's for. I haven't touched Ventation. But, you know, being able to use more geysers is always good because that's pretty much the only thing Ventation's good at. Taking physical hits and trying to burn things. It's not really going to be a super big game changer for it, but, you know, cheaper is always better in terms of energy cost. Dissonant Chord, it's another 80 power that was, you know, weird cost. It was just, you know, consistency. It's going down to 40 energy. Boulder Blast, this is another consistency change. Pine Shot is 25. Boulder Blast is 22. The reason Boulder Blast is 90 accuracy rather than 100 like Pine Shot. Earth is an amazing offensive typing, Plant is not. So, yeah, it's just a consistency change with the energy there. Wonder Herb is... where are you? See how much this costs? 70 energy. Yeah, that's a lot. It's becoming 45 energy now. That's big for both offense and bulky stall crap. Ugh. Wonder Herb always cost a lot. It was very hard to, you know, be worth using, but 45 energy is much more manageable, and it makes Wonder Herb Top and actually, you know, something you can actually run, because right now it doesn't have too many moves it wants to use. You know, Jungle Jutsu, Bushwhack, Poison, and then a lot of people like to run Toxic Tail, but that's only for other Tatobs, and nobody stays in against another Tatob, so eh. But yeah. Where are we at? We're at Jungle Jutsu. Oh, right, here we go. Jungle Jutsu going from 55 to 50. It's like Fire Breath. There was another 90 Thunder Strike, 90 power, 50 energy. It was 55 because it had 2 effects, but now it's removing the flinch chance, so Jungle Jutsu is no longer going to flinch. It's still going to maintain its critical hit rate boost, but yeah, it's going down to 50 energy. It's pretty big. It makes 250 energy Tatob an actual thing. Being able to use 5 Jungle Jutsus rather than 4 is, well, big. You needed to have 275 if you wanted, or energy, 275 energy if you wanted to use 5 Jungle Jutsus. So now you only need 250. So yeah, that's really good for Tatob. Oppress. All right, where are you at? Is it this one? Yeah, it should be this one. Yep. Oppress. It's going from 44 to 40. If the energy cost wasn't changed, it would have cost more than Spectral Burst, which makes no sense. Now it costs the same amount of Spectral Burst because the damage boost it gets from a status foe is being buffed from 1.5 times to 2 times. It's going back up to its original power before it was nerfed, way back before PvP even came out. This makes Oppress very viable. Put it on Poison Barb teams, pair it with your hidden ability Gobademic if you want. Pair it with a Tase Eliguana if you want. Your utility Zulong with Tase, whatever. Stuff that could spam status so that you can get your Oppress rolling in some bigger damage. This is a pretty good change for Dusket, especially considering in order to get rid of Poison Barbs, you have to switch in a Toxic type, and it's a Mine type, so have fun. Another reason this is pretty good is because I'm going to skip down to it. The Hypnotize change, Mine types are becoming immune to it. So if you switch in Shachi gets a Gobademic Hypnotize, it's not going to fall asleep. The reason I'm sticking to Dusket with this is because it is a Mine type, and it hits other Mine types for super effective because it is a Spirit type. So yeah, and it has Hypnotize too, so if a Mine type wants to switch in on your Hypnotize, it risks eating a Spirit move because that's what Dusket has. So yeah, Dusket is improving a little bit with this update. I wouldn't say it's super meta defining. It's definitely going to be better. It's, you know, being able to hit significantly harder like that is good. So now instead of, you know, being a wet noodle a dry noodle, a dry pool noodle, it'll definitely be a wet pool noodle. You know, that hurts a little bit more. There we go. Alright, now going back up, Rapid Fire is getting buffed. Instead of 5% burn per hit, it is 10% burn per hit. It is a slightly worse Scald because statistically its rate of negative return, instead of just 10% being 30%, it's actually like 27%. But you know, you get it's better. You could bulky Seer Knights could be seen running this in order to fish for a burn, so that's fun. Yeah. Now we're going back up to Icicle. Impersonate is getting buffed in the fact that when it copies a move, the move is dealing 1.5 times more damage than normal. This just gives, you know, a bit of power to Icicle. Let's say you're fighting it's hard to come up with a good scenario because everything that could smack him. Let's say for some reason someone's using a Volcaloa, and they decide to use Primal Slash on you. If you impersonate it, it's going to do a Primal Slash is not Primal Slash, Savage Greed. Instead of 95 power, it's going to be like what 130. Wait, 135 for 90 plus 2.5. 137 power rather than 95, and that's probably going to one-hit KO a Volcaloa, but still a trash move, at least right now, because all the things that can hit him for super effective have other options to hit him. Like Ursul, it has Shadow Sprint, so it could, out-prioritize it because it's faster. Yeah. So, yeah. It's not gonna affect Icicle much, but hey, a buff is a buff. Now, moving on to Bane of Haste. This is basically a fix. This is meant to be a copy-paste Trick Room from Pokemon. It's supposed to last 5 turns instead of 4. It's going to last 5 turns now, so... it's still going to suck in singles because Pure Mind is the only thing that has it, at least right now. And it doesn't abuse it very well, so... a Bane of Haste setter that can't really abuse it themselves via either pivot or, big damage. It's just, So, it's better in doubles, though, because, that lasts a whole another turn. But yeah, that's the Bane of Haste buff. Radiant Forecast, it's not really getting... It's getting reworked. I remember Landa saying he watches my videos and he just nerfs everything I use. And, after I use Valkyrie, suddenly Jamie's talking about fixing Radiant Forecast. Coincidence? I think not. But Radiant Forecast, its immunities are being fixed. If a plant type is swapped in when Radiant Forecast hits, it'll be immune. Eclipse will also be immune. However, Eclipse and Eliguana won't be able to be sent out when it's casted. In order to absorb it, it'll still go through, but it just won't hit them when the next 2 turns happen. So, yeah. Radiant Forecast is getting worse. Like that. That's basically what's happening. It's getting nerfed. And it's not even a good move to begin with. It's just what Valkyrie has and uses on that pivot set. So, whatever. Quicksand and Pestilence. They're ranged moves that make contact, and I don't know how throwing or, trapping someone in quicksand makes contact, so they're no longer making contact. So that means, like, webbing won't trigger, sharp edges won't trigger, etc. And then Flail, that's the thing you do when you have no energy. It's being nerfed from 60 to 40 power, and its typing is being moved entirely. Or removed entirely. It wasn't supposed to have a typing to begin with, but it was ported over from Brick Bronze when they labeled it as typeless, and lo and behold, we have a typeless in the game, so, typeless gets stabbed, it gets turned into dark and light if Umbrat and Luxor use it. Yeah, that kind of stuff will no longer happen, and it's being nerfed in power because people were actually abusing it. Trumbull has a stronger quick bounce by flailing rather than using quick bounce, so... that strategy is being nerfed a little bit. Now we got the items. I already talked about Energy Orb, but the Heavy Shield and Armor, for some reason, are getting buffed from 20% to 30%. Again, I couldn't tell you why. Defense was already pretty good. Maybe he's still scared of offense now that it's getting buffed. I don't know. But that makes... Shield, Heavy Shield, Seer Knight a little bit better at checking Eclipse and friends and Shachi. It hard counters Shachi even harder because it takes less damage. All that jazz. I would talk about very clever Heavy Shield Obsidian, but it's just not good. It's a noob trap. Stop using it. But yeah, those are the only 2 item changes. That's not to say there won't be new items or anything. Well, this is just what we know. Anyway, moving on, we have a little bit of extra changes, and this is actually the last thing that's being changed. The sleep mechanic is being reworked. Instead of just sleeping for 2 to 3 turns, it's going to be so that you'll still have the 2 to 3 turn limit, but if you take 25% of your current HP, meaning let's take this Valkyrie for example, I have 129 HP. If I go down to 75%, I'll wake up. But if I'm at 60%, my current HP is that 60%. If I drop down to 45%, which is, you know, I lost a quarter of my current HP, I'll wake up then. So the lower health you're at when you're put to sleep, the easier it is to wake you up from damage. Basically, all this is going to change is that the strategy for when putting someone to sleep, they're just going to set up instead of hitting you. So yeah. That's pretty much all that's changing there. It's not too big a nerf. It's not really a nerf at all. It's just a change. But yeah, the only nerf to sleep right now is that hypnotize is not going to affect mind types anymore. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's well, I say pretty much it, but that's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of changes. Yeah, what are your thoughts on all these changes? How do you think it's going to affect everything? All in all, biggest winners, Tatab. The others I don't see as too big a winner. Dusket won quite a bit there. Zulong's going to be more annoying because it's going to have cheap spammable Ancient Roar. Hamburg can block it, but it's literally just for that. Revenine's scary as a revenge killer. Ragoon's going to be annoying, but in terms of buff, Tatab wins. It Wonder Herb, Jungle Jutsu, Awakening, they're all getting buffed. So it's just pretty much its entire kit is getting buffed. So yeah, Ubret is pretty cool too. It'll definitely be usable. It'll actually out-damage Vesperatu Slapdown with Raging Tackle. Still, the drawback of recoil is what, you know, makes it, you know, still viable to use Vesperatu, but Vesperatu's still better regardless. But, yeah, yeah, what are your thoughts? Also, if this video reaches 200 likes, I'll post a follow-up video telling you what I would change to balance the game if it were up to me. So if you're interested in that, make sure you like the video. It helps me out, lets YouTube know that I'm making good content. Even though I don't post as much right now, I'll definitely be more active when Sepharite comes out. I have a lot planned. I'm still struggling to figure out how to incorporate PvP videos. I don't want to post random ones where, like, you know, it's just, here's a random battle with zero context, enjoy. I want the battle to have meaning. I want there to be a point to the video. So if you have any suggestions about that, leave them in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe so that the Sepharite action isn't missed out on. So yeah, that's it from me. Have a nice day. See ya.